it's the next level.
Hmm? Ah!
So, when you say turn to key, you mean like a key?
That was a fail-safe key.
That seems kind of convenient.
I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, if you had this magic key the whole time, why didn't you, use it?
I didn't know what would happen.
So what did happen?
The fail-safe key must have detonated the electromagnetic anomaly. Made the hatch implode.
You didn't implode? So is that what made the blender noise and the sky turn purple?
I'm afraid I missed that, brother.
Right, you were fail-safing. Well, FYI, the whole island vibrated. And Kate and Jack and Sawyer saw it too right before they had bags pulled over their heads.
Don't worry. Locke's gonna go after them. He said so in his speech.
What? What speech? All he said he was gonna save Echo and kill bears.
Right. Right, of course. I'm sorry. I'm just a bit shook up.
Welcome to another episode of We Have to Go Back, Lost Revisited, as we continue our journey into the third season of the series. Wow. Good job, Kristen.
Way to go.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Ben. This week, not only did I get our script right in having the names in the proper places, but we also dive deeper into season 3, this time with episode 3, Further Instructions.
My further instructions is learn how to speak well.
You're doing fine. It's fine. We're a little behind schedule this week, but it's probably for good reason, because if we were on time, we'd be screwing up even more, and we're only not even a minute into the podcast.
Yeah, see? We were just holding off the screw up until right now.
Exactly. It's less screw ups now that we've given it a little time.
Right.
I don't know what the hell we're talking about.
It doesn't matter.
We've already derailed and we're not even a minute in.
That's fine.
It happens.
That's fine. Well, as Ben said, we are in season 3, episode 3. For today's episode. This is a spoiler-full podcast, so we are all speaking. Whenever you hear us, we're speaking with the thought that you have seen the series, we have seen the series, so anything and everything is on the table. If you haven't seen the series, every once in a while, if there's a really big spoiler we're going to talk about, we'll preface it with, hey, I'm going to say something that's a massive spoiler, so that if you want to fast forward 10 seconds, you can, or whatever. So
yeah, we've been getting in the habit of doing that. I don't think we did that in the very beginning of the podcast. We would just jump right into the spoiler.
Yeah, but now it's getting tricky because the story is more complicated, and we have questions about stuff that we may have forgotten, and also, with that in mind, if we have forgotten something or you have figured out something cool, please let us know. We would love to hear it. We would love to hear where we're wrong. If we're wrong about, not about our opinion, because our opinion is always correct, but if we're wrong about something that happens in the show, let us know.
Absolutely. And on that note, a couple things. First off, I want to thank all of the listeners, because I told you this earlier in the week. I want to thank all the listeners for making last week's episode 2 of season 3, which was our 41st episode of this podcast, not only the most listened to podcast for this podcast, most listened to episode for this podcast, but I don't know how it became the most listened to episode of any podcast on the whole podcast network.
Oh, cool.
So thank you for the listeners for that. And we have a lot of great feedback this week, which is great. Keep that feedback coming. We'll tell you ways you can get that to us towards the end of the episode. But as you mentioned, if there's something we're wrong about, or there's something we're mistaken on reaching out to us, I had a number of people reach out to us and tell us that when we were questioning what it was Kate and Sawyer were building, they're building the runway that comes into play later towards the end of the season, end of the series. So yeah, I completely forgot about that runway.
Oh, that's awesome, because I was going to mention this earlier, is that I forgot about this episode.
Like, I did a little bit too.
I was watching it and I'm like, oh yeah, Locke in the sweat lodge. Like, I forget why he's in there, but I remember the sweat lodge. And then after that, I said, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next. Like every minute of the episode, I'm sitting there going, I honestly have no idea where this is headed. I can say with 100% satisfaction, I don't know where this is headed.
I mean, I think I was the same way too. I'm like, wait, there's a polar bear? Like, okay. Yeah, I completely forgot about this episode too. And, but it was fun. I mean, it was a fun episode to get into again, especially having that non-recollection of everything, you know, as we're watching through it. Before we get into the episode, I want to read a piece of feedback real quick. This is pertaining to the show Lost as a whole, not this particular episode, which is why I'm reading it now. And this comes from our friend Leda, who actually gave me the correct pronunciation of her name because we were a little curious of it last week. And she writes, she says, Ben, in many episodes you mentioned that people were disappointed with this show because they felt the writers didn't know where they were going, which I've expressed a number of times. I am one of those people. However, I came to the conclusion when the show ended. However, I came to that conclusion when the show ended. Here are the reasons why. One, it was still appointment television. You had to wait for each episode weekly, and then there was the hiatus due to the writer's strike with no streaming and binge watching. I would forget the little nuances of previous episodes. Two, I had seen an interview about the show where they detailed the rush the writers had to be on to get the script into the showrunner's hands, from writing room to airport to the location of the episode shoot. It might have been during the writer's strike because I was starved for some Lost action, weren't we all? Had me thinking at the time, boy, they are under pressure. Three, I was all in on figuring things out and looking for clues. Discussions would lead into many different paths, but the overall one was that maybe they were all dead. Oh, what great discussions they were. When did they die? All at once? Did we know which episode they may have died? Apart from those that actually died during the run of the show. Then we hear that the showrunners themselves said that they are definitely not dead. Great. So now I paid closer attention to the characters and their development and story arcs. I enjoyed the show so much right up until we found out that they were all dead. Oh, God. Wait till we get to that episode. I'm going to school everybody.
Oh, jeez.
It was like going from
Don't worry, everybody. I'll keep them in check. All right.
All right. It was like going from 100 to 0. I was winded, exhausted, and too upset to try and figure it out. It has taken me 9 years, 70 days, and 12 hours to get a second opinion. Thanks, guys. Oh, and my name is pronounced Leda. Great podcast. Yeah, Jack is the worst. And then in parentheses, I may be changing my mind, though. So thanks, Leda.
Jack starts to get better. He does. I mean, we all say it. We all know it. We all know that he starts to get better. But he is awful. And the only reason why I ever started that was because for anybody that's ever seen the Zach Morris's trash videos that they made.
There should be a video series where Jack Shepherd is garbage.
Right, because it made me think of like kind of hindsight and how when we watch something the first time and we're like, oh, Zach Morris, Mark Paul Gosselaar, we love him. Oh my gosh, you know. And then you watch it when you're older and you're like, oh my gosh, this guy is the worst. So I had a similar experience when, you know, rewatching the first season of Lost for the podcast because, you know, I'm looking a little deeper than I usually have in the past. And I just start to come to the realization that Jack and Zach Morris are very similar in the fact that, you know, how I once felt about them is different now. Anyways, so that's
how
where
hindsight
came
how
from.
hindsight makes them a completely different person.
Yes.
So, and I know there are people out there that disagree with us, and that's
yeah.
fine. Like you're more than welcome to your opinions, and and
I'm
again,
having fun with it.
I am too, and I just like the fact that when we get comments on the Facebook page and such, a lot of times they're followed up with hashtag Jack is the worst. So apparently, you've started a trend when it comes to this podcast, and I love it.
I wish I
love
was
it.
still on Facebook. I could see, but I'm not. So that's okay.
But I love it because we get emails and comments on Facebook now that are hashtag Jack is the worst. And it's great. It's wonderful that that's starting to take effect. We're sorry, Matthew Fox. We still love you as an actor.
Mm-hmm. Party of 5. Whoop, whoop.
But yeah, let's talk about this episode.
Okay. Sounds good.
So,
I'm going to lead this, though, if you don't mind.
no, go for it. I know usually it's whoever's hosting turns it over to the other person.
Yeah, so that's you, buddy.
Yeah, but I thought you just said you wanted to lead it. Or did you mean
No,
you
no,
want to
no.
lead the discussion to
man.
turn it over to me first?
Yeah, man.
Gotcha. Oh, man. Okay. Well, in that case, where do we start? Because I thought this was an episode I didn't think I was going to have a lot of notes on because there's a lot of things that happen. But I actually want to start with something that we discussed a little bit last week. We had initially started, we found out in reviewing last week's episode that this episode, Further Instructions, was actually supposed to be episode 2, and last week was supposed to be episode 3, but in the schedule, they reversed things. And I know we said we were going to try and keep that in mind as we were watching to see if we could find a reason for that. And there actually is something in this episode that is strongly comparable to last week's episode. And I don't know if you picked up on it. Throughout the episode, we meet a character, Eddie, who we find out more about. He was originally a hitchhiker that John picked up in his flashback, because this is a very John Locke flashback episode. And we later find out throughout the course of the episode that he is an undercover agent trying to infiltrate this marijuana farm, and they're using John for it. There's a moment in the woods where John is pointing the gun at Eddie. And this is very comparable to Sun and Charlotte last week, because they're very identical situations where one is pointing the gun at another, and the person who's having the gun pointed at them is saying, "You're not going to kill me because you're a good person."
Mm-hmm.
They're both being tested in this moment. The only difference is Sun pulls the trigger. John doesn't. So it's there. I'm wondering if maybe that is a reason why they swapped these episodes, because they wanted to have Sons have maybe they would feel like Sons wouldn't have had as big of an impact if John was the first one to not pull the trigger. I don't know.
Huh.
How do you
That's
feel about
interesting that you say that, just because I think that if they had reversed it and we saw the big scene, because I think that the scene with John and Eddie was a bit of a bigger scene than Sun and Charlie? Colette? Colleen? Colleen.
Oh, it's Colleen. I said Charlotte. It's Colleen.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
no, it's okay. So I think that if we got the Locke and Eddie scene first and we saw, "You're a good person, you're not going to shoot me," and then Locke doesn't shoot me, and then the very next week we get, "You're a good person, you're not going to kill me," and then Sun's like, bang, you're like, what? So I think that maybe would have even been bigger. I didn't even put those two together, though. That's a really great similarity between the two. So yeah, I don't know. I think taking a break from what was going on over in the Hydra station would have been nice if they had Further Instructions been episode 2 and Glass Ballerina been episode 3, just to break it up a little bit. But I understand also that the first 2 episodes, they are linked very well to each other. And I know that Lost likes to make sure that the first 2 and the last 2 episodes are kind of like a pairing. So I can see how that decision could be made. as far as that goes. But it would have been nice to get all of the cast involved in the first 2 weeks of the season instead of waiting for the third week to see what happened to Locke, what happened to Echo, what happened to Desmond, what happened after Charlie and Claire's kiss, even for the romantics that are watching the show. So, while that would have been really nice, I can see why the first two episodes were coupled. What do you think?
No, I agree with that. I think I think you're right. I think the flow of the episodes after watching all three of these definitely worked better the way it aired. But do you think the impact would have been greater had they reversed the episodes and Further Instructions was still number 2? Or do you think it would have just been that moment would have been really the only thing impacted? Maybe it were having a greater impact. After watching all 3 episodes, or at least these 2 episodes, which way do you think it would have played out better? The way they aired it, or had it been reversed?
No, I think it should have been reversed. I think it should have been their original intention, 1, 3, 2 instead of 1, 2, 3. But
okay,
that's just personal preference. I think that you're splitting hairs after a while. Either way is fine.
Yeah, I mean, when you're watching it binging, like we are. Actually, we're not even really binging anymore. We're still going once a week. But we have the option to binge if we want to. But for the sake of this podcast, we're still just watching once a week. At least I am. You might be watching ahead. I don't know.
I'm not watching ahead. I have before, but I have significantly less time to watch TV these days.
My first point was basically I wanted to make that comparison to last week just to kick things off, because I know we did talk about that a little bit and how and for the reasons why the producers might have swapped those 2 episodes. And in analyzing both last week and this week, that right there is really the only connection I can find, excuse me, between the 2 that would maybe make them want to swap those episodes.
It would have been nice, to know that polar bears were still on the island while Sawyer was in a polar bear cage.
It would have made things more interesting. It definitely would have made things more interesting to know that a polar bear could come back for a treat.
A fish biscuit.
Well, but actually, and see, this is the part that confuses me now that you bring that up. The polar bears I don't think they're on the same island. They're on different islands.
Yeah, you're right.
They're on Hydra Island now. So how did the polar bear get to the other island?
They swam, man.
They can. Bears can swim.
They're polar bears.
So, I mean, that could be, because as far as we know, I think the Hydra station is on Hydra Island. I think they're on the other island.
I need a map. I can't wait. I already have a map of Westeros and Essos in my office all framed up. Got to get me a Dharma map.
I saw somebody who shared pictures of a room that they have, like a fan room that they have, and in addition to some Dharma logos, they apparently also have some of the seats from the plane.
Very cool.
In their fan room, which I was extremely jealous on.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
I would want a Geronimo Jackson t-shirt. And,
I would too.
An Apollo bar.
I think you can get the Apollo bars. I think you can get them online.
You could probably get Geronimo Jackson online too.
Probably. I'm going to have to look into that a little bit. So, what about you? What's your first one you want to lead off? You want to bring us in with?
So before I get into my first thing, I did want to say I thought that it was very interesting that Locke's story in this episode started off very much like Jack's story in the pilot episode.
Being out and stranded in the jungle with
the eye being stranded. When I heard the rustling, I swear to you, I thought Vincent was coming out.
No, instead it was a naked Desmond.
Yes, but I really did think that it was going to be Vincent. I was like, "Oh, here comes Vincent! Here he comes!" Oh, nope! Oh, hello, naked man! Oh, so naked.
Very naked until he gets a tie-dye shirt.
Yeah. So let's see, where do I want to start? There's quite a few directions that we can take here. I think that there was a lot of foreshadowing in this episode. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't know if there was foreshadowing. I think there was, what's the word I'm looking for? Congruent shadowing. As in, like, if we, because I'm sure I know for a fact we're going to talk about Locke's vision at some point, and I didn't. And let me tell you, I watched that vision like 4 times. I watched that whole scene like 4 times. And I think I was over analyzing because I really couldn't come up with anything. Like, I think I was watching too deeply.
Well, I don't know, because when you look at it, right, there's a few things that I saw that were kind of happening. Desmond, he's taking care of himself right now. That clearly has to do with the fact that he's just trying to maybe maintain, and he has his own thing going on with the visions and throwing rocks into the ocean and trying to make sense of what's going on with poor Desmond in his tie-dye shirt. But, you take the very obvious first piece of foreshadowing with Desmond telling Hurley that Locke's going to give a speech.
Oh, man, I can't wait to talk about that because that's one of my big notes.
And that's fine. I'm just going to run these down kind of bullet points.
Yeah, go for it.
Charlie, in the vision, when Boone says, those two will be okay, comma, for a while, that kind of hints that something is going to happen with Charlie and Claire. And anybody that's seen the show knows what is coming for Charlie and Claire and everybody else. And then you also have Locke, and his whole flashback, I think, was a big piece of foreshadowing for kind of his journey on the island. People abandon John. His family abandons him. They turn his back on him. It's something that has happened throughout his entire life. His mom, his dad, Helen, and now this Mike and Jan turn their back on him, and everybody does it in anger with with Locke. And then people wonder why Locke is so angry, And I think that that's where a lot of Locke's insecurities and his kind of his walls go up, is that he has these like really deep-seated abandonment issues that manifest as anger. And I feel like watching his whole backstory with Eddie and the weed farmer, that is really kind of a parallel to stuff that happens to him on the island. He has this really good situation in the hatch, and then somebody comes along like Ben and fucks it all up. He thinks he knows what he's doing, and he thinks that he's found a place, and he thinks that, he's supposed to be where he is in Humboldt. And it turns out that he's expendable, just like the island. He thought that he was going to be, this guy on the island, and it turns out he was expendable. I'm getting ahead of myself. And then you have Hurley in the vision, and Hurley is the flight guy. He what do you call them? Not flight
like
attendant.
The attendant. Well, yeah, there's the attendant behind the counter attendant.
Airline counter guy, which we know Hurley ends up being everybody's guardian of the island, and he's the one that's kind of directing people where to go in this vision, punching in the numbers.
I didn't see that one. Like, I kind of saw the comparisons and everything else that you were mentioning, and I kind of saw that for myself before you brought them up. But that's the one. Hurley was the one I could not figure out, and you just put your finger on it. And that, you're right, he's the one that in the end directs everybody where to be and where to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did not put that one together. Good observation on that one.
Oh, thank you so much. Then we have foreshadowing that there's going to be 2 new characters that die in a pit for no reason.
Oh, God, don't bring them up. Do we have to talk about them? We do have to talk about it. No,
we really
eventually don't. We do.
Nah, we don't. I I say it's just an addition. It's a bonus exclusive to a real episode of television. We can talk about Handmaid's Tale for an hour. Let's see. Was there anything else?
We'll just sing Never Ending Story for an hour.
Oh, okay. And we'll talk about that later. Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's it for foreshadowing, just like as a bullet point, kind of first point. But I did see a lot of foreshadowing for kind of what's to come and what was that is. That was it's a weird thing to say, like the flashback in the episode was the foreshadow of the specific episode, because I think that in the past what we've been able to do is link these together, link the flashbacks and what's going on the island as kind of the lesson that the character who's having the flashback is learning. But I think in this instance, at least in my point of view, and I'm sure you will disagree, but for me, this was an entire, oh my gosh, this whole experience that I went through in Humble is kind of like an experience of what is to come here on the island, especially with the Sweat Lodge and whether he's a hunter or a farmer and how do you make that distinction, blah, blah, blah. So.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying too. And again, I think I'm starting to find and understand a bigger brilliance to that vision that John is having, because as you said, you saw a lot of foreshadowing in that vision, and I was seeing a lot of parallel shadowing. And now that you've gone through everything that you said about how you saw the foreshadowing, the brilliance that I find in that vision is I really think it's both. I think it's foreshadowing and parallel shadowing at the same time. And what I mean by parallel shadowing,
parashadowing,
parashadowing. That's a good way to put it. What we're seeing in that vision not only is glimpses of the future of what's to come and what Boone is telling John, but it's also currently what is happening on the island.
Right.
Claire and Charlie are together with Aaron. Hurley is on his own. Desmond is on his own. Sawyer and Kate are together where they are, and Jack is with Ben. These are the current standings of where everybody is currently on the island or on the islands that they're on. So not only is this foreshadowing, as you mentioned, it's parallel shadowing at the same time. Mm-hmm. We're seeing what's happening and what's to come both at the same time in John's vision. And I think that's brilliant.
Well, the island knows what it's doing.
It does. And it leads me probably to my next point. I know we're jumping around a lot.
That's okay.
We're just going with the flow of everything. You mentioned how John is starting to realize with this vision as comparable to working on the pot farm and running into Eddie, how he found, a group that accepted him and it only took one person to screw it up, and, how he's expendable. I find it interesting, though, that by the end of this episode, when John actually does give his speech at the end, and I'm curious how you saw this, it seems that John has had a restored faith, and I don't necessarily believe it's the previous faith that he had. I don't necessarily think that it's the faith in that the island is going to do what needs to be done and the island is going to make things right. I think John has been now he's shaken off that faith, and he has now a restored faith in himself, in that we're going to go get our friends back. Because I think the old John would have said the island will bring them back when it's time to bring them back. But now he's stepping up and saying, no, we're going to go get them.
Yeah, I think John is taking ownership of his own narrative now. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point.
You can see that the same way that I did then.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I can. John is such an interesting character because
he's one of my favorites.
Yeah. He's kind of a doomed guy from the beginning. He's just this tragic character. He's used by everybody around him. He is a very good and kind man. He tries very hard to be strong. He tries very hard to be a hunter. But, like Eddie said, you're a farmer. And he can say that he's a hunter, but he is a farmer. And I think that it was this episode that maybe he saw the hunter inside of him. But when it comes right down to it, John is gentle, you know?
He really is, yeah.
So it's very interesting. There's actually a deleted scene for this episode where John goes back to the farm and he sees that Eddie has orchestrated a police raid and everybody's been arrested. And John is watching from the woods, staying hidden. And Eddie sees him in the woods and lets John walk away. So I wonder if they had kept that scene in the episode, if that would have given John's speech about going to get Jack and Sawyer and Kate a little bit more weight to what he intended to do, like he was going to right a previous wrong.
Maybe. Yeah, I could see that. I can see that for sure. I want to make a quick note when you were talking about the foreshadowing in John's vision.
Mm-hmm.
You started talking about we all know what happens to Claire and Charlie and the rest of the gang, and more specifically Charlie. I thought we had until next season to deal with that.
No, it's this season.
I got really sad when I realized it's this season. Oh.
Let's have a guest on that episode so that they can cry.
Yeah, we're going to have to, because we're going to cry together. That is an episode of the podcast that not only will I have tissues next to me while I'm watching it, I will have tissues with me as we're talking about it.
That was like me.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that was like me when in season 8 of Game of Thrones, when one of my favorite characters bit it in season 8, and it was so hard for me to even say the character's name. I was having a really tough time that episode, so I understand how it can be for some people to have to talk about tough moments.
That is probably, out of all 6 seasons of this show, that is in my top 2 toughest moments.
Yeah, I think everybody has a really tough time with that episode, not Penny's boat.
Yeah. Oh God. I made that at one point on it was a while ago, but I made that at one point, that screenshot, my cover art on Facebook.
What is wrong with you?
That was the response I got from so many people. Everybody was like, why? Why would you do that?
It's a cry for help, son.
I might have to put it back up just to see how people react again. No, I don't want to do that because it brings back too many memories.
Golly, so, not Penny's
I know.
boat.
There is something wrong with me. I'm just going to... I know. I'm just going to get this out of the way right now in our notes. We finally meet Nikki and Paulo. And thank God John gave a hell of a speech at the end of that episode to kind of take away from the fact that we are introduced to these 2 characters who have apparently been on the island the whole time, yet we have never met.
And they're really like inside, it looks like, you know, like it looks like they're on the inside of things.
Well, I thought about this too, and I'm wondering if the writers introduced these 2 characters because they felt that with Jin and Sun and Saeed on the boat, Jack, Sawyer, Kate with the others, and the only characters on the beach really being John, Charlie, and Claire, maybe they felt they needed to fill that out a little bit. Because we do know that Echo's story is going to come to a close relatively soon. Desmond is kind of working on his own thing right now. Rose and Bernard are not exactly they haven't been set up. They're strong co-starring characters, but they really haven't been set up to be included in this group. They kind of stand off on their own. So maybe the writers felt the need that to say hey, we might have to introduce 1 or 2 new characters just to kind of fill this out. And that's how Nikki and Paulo came in. And then when the feedback was so bad, they just kind of wrote them off. Or that was the intention altogether, was to just write them off once they were done with them. Like they were disposable characters.
Ugh.
But I can kind of see that in that's one of the reasons why they were introduced is they just needed to fill out that beach crew a little bit.
I see what you're saying, and that's probably accurate. But at the same time, it sucks.
It really does because they are horrible characters. I don't know if you know this or not, but there's actually another deleted scene from this episode.
Oh, I do, about Nikki and Paolo.
About Nikki and Paolo.
Yep.
And I'm so glad it was cut because I didn't hate them yet at this point. It took a couple episodes for me to be really annoyed and hate these characters. I would have hated them right from the start had this episode been in there or had this scene been in there. And the deleted scene is that when you are first introduced to Nikki and Paolo, they are coming out of Jack's tent having had sex in his tent. Like, they are horrible people if that is the case.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're terrible people.
They are terrible people.
But I mean, this is what happens when you kill off all the red shirts. There's no more red shirts.
That's true. They needed to add red shirts.
I mean, they've killed off everybody.
Yeah.
This is a savage show. Savage Island.
Well, because we do know that by the end of this series, everybody, with the exception of the main characters, everybody is a red shirt. Like, everybody is disposable.
Yeah.
And we find that out because by the end, not even by the end, I think it's by like season 4, the only people left are the characters that we know. I think everybody else is written off. And actually, I might be.
But where did they all go?
4.
If there's an Oceanic 6, let's talk. You know what? We'll talk about that later. We're completely not even in this episode anymore.
Well, we still are because we're talking about Nikki and Paolo who were introduced, so we're still kind of there. But yeah, I just wanted to use my next point to kind of get them out of the way because we're going to be talking about them, unfortunately, for at least the next 6 weeks, I think, at the least. Because it's not until what episode is that? It's Expose, episode 14, which is when we're now we're not going to get them in every episode up until episode 14, but there are still at least 2 or 3 more episodes they're going to play a relatively large part in the episodes.
I mean, they're in the credits.
They've been in the credits, I think, since the beginning of the season. Actually, since episode 1, but this is the first time we're meeting them, and it's unfortunate.
I agree.
But I'll turn it back over to you.
So this episode, I actually had to check to see who the director was because I got such a Darren Aronofsky feel from that vision, and it was just such a kind of trippy, almost discombobulated episode. That because I remember that they said that they wanted Darren Aronofsky to direct one of the episodes in the past, and they couldn't get it to happen. And so I said, oh, I wonder if this is an episode that they gave him, and it ended up not being him. But the feel of this episode was quite different from the rest of the series. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, I think in particular, the vision, which I want to say, going into that too, Terry O'Quinn didn't have many lines in the first half of this episode. It's not until after the Sweat Lodge and the vision that he actually finally starts to speak. But that's not to say Terry O'Quinn wasn't speaking. He wasn't speaking vocally. I want to praise Terry O'Quinn on his acting in this episode because even though he didn't have any lines of dialogue until after the Sweat Lodge, he was speaking volumes in his acting. This is a phenomenal acting job by Terry O'Quinn in this episode.
Well, he's a phenomenal actor.
He absolutely is. But I mean, just in the vision alone, when he's being pushed in the wheelchair by Boone, like he's so expressive in trying to point, in his reactions to what he's seeing. It's so well done.
Yeah, and what I love about John Locke in this episode is the fact that he feels like he needs to help everybody before he can help himself. He's being wheeled around and he's frantically gesturing everywhere. No, you don't need to worry about them. Saeed's got that. No, they're not even around here anymore. Don't worry about Jack and them. And, Charlie and Claire are just fine, for a while, but they're just fine. Like, stop panicking. You need to clean up your own mess, because it was like John couldn't focus enough to figure out that he had to find Echo, that he blew up this hatch, and now he has to own what has happened to him and what he has done to other people as a result of his lack of faith. And I think that that's just wonderful that he couldn't speak, and he had to go on this little like mind trip journey in order for him to kind of like refocus himself and realize that it was time for John Locke to take responsibility, because he has had a habit of blaming other people for everything that's ever happened to him. And it was nice to see somebody forcing John to take responsibility for his own mistakes and his own actions.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And I think the vision is more, it's very, I mean, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong or you think differently, it's the island telling him to take that responsibility. It's not Boone.
Yeah.
The island simply just took the form of Boone, because that was something from John's past that he
was
connects
significant.
to very strongly.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's very obviously like this is the island. And it's very interesting when you approach it from that point of view, too, in that, John was the one that always relied on the island and had faith in the island to do what it was supposed to do. And now this is the one time the island has it and is speaking back to John and saying, like, no, you need to take care of this. Don't rely on me.
Well, and, John has been waiting for the island to speak to him for a while, and he couldn't understand. Like, he felt like he had been forsaken. He felt like he had been, left behind. And the island finally had to, pop up and be like, no, man, I'm here. I'm watching you fuck everything up. Just try and recenter yourself a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think it was the island speaking to John too through Echo?
Yes.
Okay, so we're in agreement on that.
Yes.
Okay. Because, I mean, how would Echo know to tell John you have to save them? Like, Echo wouldn't know that something had happened.
No. Yeah, they used Echo's body or whatever. Yeah, because Charlie came right back. He goes, "Oh, Echo's awake," and Charlie's like, "Really?"
Do you think that was Echo awakened by the island, or do you think that was another vision?
Yeah, it could have been another vision. That's a good point. I questioned whether it was a vision or if it was him actually, for lack of a better term, possessed by the island in that moment.
I think it could be taken either way.
Either way. I was just about to say the same thing.
Sorry.
No. That's okay. It's just we're on the same page, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what did you think about that bear hunt?
Okay. I'm confused by one thing. There were definitely some very interesting things that came out of that. The toy truck in the cave.
That was dark.
Yeah.
Can we just say that? Can we all just agree that was dark?
Well, but here's my question, because I'm very curious. Because not only is there a toy truck in there, but there's obviously a very old and tattered Dharma uniform in there as well. Mm-hmm. So do we think that were these people in there victims of the polar bear? Or were these people who died in this cave having escaped the purge, the so-called purge that happened when Ben was younger?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I don't think that we ever get an answer to that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I would like to think that they died in the cave escaping the purge, then a child was ripped apart by a polar bear in the cave. So
yeah.
I'm going to go with choice B for my own personal sanity and heart.
And I agree with you. I think because of the age of the uniform, I think there's a chance maybe the polar bear they could have, I don't know, maybe just, I was going to say picked his teeth with the bones, but that's not appropriate, and I don't think a polar bear can do that. But
I don't know.
yeah,
It's the island, man. Anything can happen.
I would like to think that the less dark of the two options would be that they escaped the purge and they were hiding out in the cave and they just maybe happened to starve. And that's where they died.
That's just as dark. That's just a slow, horrible death instead of a quick, horrible death.
Yeah. But it makes me curious though to keep an eye out in the future when we get to next season to see if that toy truck pops up anywhere else.
Oh yeah,
To
okay. Like
to
an
maybe
Easter egg.
connect, yeah, to maybe connect who that might possibly be in that cave.
What if
Like
it's Ben?
maybe there's a God.
Dun, dun,
How would that be possible?
dun. Exactly.
But maybe like somewhere in the background of a scene there is a child playing with a toy truck. Just to see if maybe the writers threw it in there for the sake of an Easter egg. It's something to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, I will be on Toy Truck Watch.
But what about you? Like, how did you? Oh, and that led me to the question that I had too. I'm sorry. How did John know it was polar bears that took Echo?
The polar bear jumped out at him.
Yeah, but
at the end of his vision.
Did it? How did I miss
That's
that?
how he jumped out of the tent. It was like he woke up from his vision and then a polar bear went rawr, like right in front of him. And then he fell out of the tent
I miss that
and he
twice?
started talking.
How the hell did I miss that twice? All right.
I didn't miss it because I jumped out of my skin. Because like I told you, I forgot about this episode.
Maybe I was just like, if it happens very fast, maybe I just happened to turn my head both times it happened.
Maybe.
Because I know Boone is bloody standing at the top and says because like they took him. And then the next thing I know, John's falling out of the tent. Maybe I just happened to glance away both times and completely missed the polar bear.
Yeah, it happens right at the end. It's very quick, but that's when he knew it was a polar bear. And then he found the polar bear fur along the way to kind of reiterate that or confirm it.
Oh, well, that answers my question. Okay, fair enough. But what did you think of the whole polar bear hunt?
I loved it. I loved it only because, taking Charlie, while Charlie was kind of a dick to John the whole way, he provided some really needed comic relief.
I'm glad you brought that up because there is one scene that there's one line in particular that made me laugh.
Tell me.
Oh, no, I don't want to step on you.
No, I want to hear it.
The hairspray comment.
Oh, yeah.
When John pulls out. And what I really loved about that scene is, when John pulls out the hairspray and, Charlie says to John, like, contrary to belief, pointing out the fact that John is bald. Not only is that like a quick little quip of Charlie of old, by the way, I love the fact that we're getting the return of Charlie that we love.
Mm-hmm.
And the dark Charlie is kind of going away. But you can see there's a smirk of enjoyment on Locke's face as well. Like he's starting to lighten up a little bit. So when Charlie makes that sarcastic quip with a straight face, John kind of gives him that little, that was funny smirk. And then the camera cuts back to Charlie and Charlie's smiling. So it's a nice little intimate, humorous moment between the two of them that really adds a little bit of levity to that scene. And I love it.
Well, they're both stronger. And I think that little, exchange kind of proves that, John comes out of the tent and he knows what he has to do. John Locke, without something to do or without direction, rather, that is not that's weak John Locke. He's weakened, he's easily manipulated, he's kind of lost. But if he has a mission, if he knows what he's supposed to do, if his parameters are clear, he's smart. He can relax. He can enjoy the moment while staying focused. That's vintage John Locke. And Charlie Charlie's strong because he's sober. He's got Claire and Aaron back, and he's not being chased by a polar bear. He's not being taken by others on a dock. He doesn't have a he's not being blamed for his horrible attack on Sun. He's just kind of plodding along, waiting for Echo to come back to finish the church. Whatever, who cares? He just doesn't care.
And in the
Carefree
meantime,
Charlie
he's
is
just
nice.
Yeah, and in the meantime, he's spending time with Claire and just enjoying life.
And they're being a family.
And I love it.
Mm-hmm.
For now.
Hey, man. Live in the moment. Be like Charlie.
Yeah.
Be like Charlie.
Charlie.
Live in the moment. So, and then when he threw the knife, when John throws a knife and you hear, ah! And I thought to myself, oh, I wonder who that is. Because apparently I cannot believe I didn't know what was going to happen next the entire episode. It was a very strange phenomenon for me. And it ended up being Hurley. It's like, dude. And I'm like, oh, Hurley, you were never going to die anyways, buddy.
Well, I mean, it's funny because when I heard that, I had completely forgotten that it happened too. But the moment I heard the scream, I knew it was Hurley. Because he just has a recognizable tone to his voice. Mm-hmm. So I kind of knew it was Hurley at that time.
I love it when they told him to go back to the island and go tell the others about Jack and Kate. And then Charlie's like, hey, watch out for the polar bear though. And Hurley's just like, he's just walking around the jungle the way I walk around my backyard during Copperhead season. Like he's just kind of like walking around going, okay, I'm here. I really would like to not be eaten right now. Thanks. And then naked Desmond shows up and then all of a sudden like, what, polar bear? No, there's a naked guy with his ding dong flinging around right now and he doesn't seem to care.
I'm sorry. Naked guy with his ding dong flying around. There's an image I didn't need. Thank you very much.
You don't need the image. That's what happened.
And what's funny too is Henry Ian Cusack is going to be at Rhode Island Comic-Con in November, and I'm actually trying to talk to Rhode Island Comic-Con about possibly moderating panels up there. And I want to request that one. And now that's going to make that panel, if I get it, even stranger.
That's on my birthday.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, then if I end up going, you should come.
Oh, no. My birthday is always spent with my family, but thanks.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, Henry Ian Cusack can be part of your family for the weekend.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? I'd want to talk to him about the 100 too. So.
Oh, okay.
He's fantastic.
Anyway, we got off
100.
topic.
Yeah, we're still talking about Desmond.
We got away from the naked man with a flopping ding dong.
Well, it was, and the whole time and then Hurley's like, it's tie dye. I hope that's okay. I'm like, dude, he's naked in the jungle. He's probably if you sewed together a couple of banana leaves, he'd be fine with that. Like.
Yeah. Oh my God. But that makes me realize too, like he's wearing a tie-dye shirt. Hurley didn't give him any pants. When he's on the beach throwing rocks, he's basically Porky Pigging it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's flinging around.
Flinging dong around on the beach.
Throwing a rock, flinging a rock, throwing a rock, flinging a rock. He's doing a good job.
Flinging rocks and dong.
Yeah.
God, that's so bad.
Well, he eventually gets close.
He does.
He's working some stuff out right now.
He's working on some things.
Yeah. What about you? You have anything else? I don't have much else because we've touched on a lot of stuff that that together, like your points were my points.
Yeah, I really only have one final note, and it is on the note of Desmond and Hurley, and we're getting, and this unfortunately kind of ties in a little bit to, the whole Not Penny's boat that we mentioned, in that we're getting glimpses of Desmond the precog. We get that whole scene with him and Hurley when he talks about how John said in his speech he's going to save everybody. And, Hurley looks at him like, what speech? He just mentioned going to a cave. And Desmond's like, oh, yeah. And then John makes the speech. And Hurley kind of gets that, hey, like, okay, I just got a little deja vu because he already knew the speech was coming thanks to Desmond.
He had the double rainbow reaction. What does this mean?
So we're getting a little precognition from Desmond, which is going to play very heavily into a lot of the future of this season. Because there are, I mean, it's still one of the most. We talk about those lines that come from this series that are very memorable.
You're gonna die, Charlie. That one.
Excuse me. Yeah. Well, yeah. I was getting to it, I know,
but I couldn't. I couldn't wait.
No, it's fine. But, the whole we're not the only people on this island and we all know it. If we don't live together, we're going to die alone. And there's no matter what I try and do, you're going to die, Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes from Desmond because of this precognition that he does. Because there is literally an episode where Desmond stops Charlie from dying 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, he does. He keeps saving his life.
Yeah. And that's where the whole line comes from, that no matter what I try and do, you're going to die. So yeah, this whole precognition that Desmond has developed because of the hatch. And I think a lot of it plays into, we do know that there's a lot of time elements that come into play a little bit later. And we do find out that that's sort of what's happening to Desmond. He's kind of, his own mind is stuck in a time loop a little bit.
How come nothing happened to Charlie?
Charlie got out of the hatch.
Yeah, but how far could he have really gotten out of the hatch before that thing imploded? He was the only other one that was close enough that he could have been affected.
Well, wasn't his hearing a little shaken in the finale of last season as he's wandering back to the beach?
Yeah.
I think he was deafened a little bit and it just kind of came back. So he wasn't completely unscathed from it. The only people who seemed to be really genuinely affected were the people that were in it.
Yeah, man. I'm just, it's just, I don't know. They should have given Charlie like music writing abilities or something like that. Like
it would have been wasted.
No, he could have written a whole bunch of songs, and they could have found a Dharma station with recording equipment, and then then Claire would like play it for Aaron when she missed him. And
so instead of writing the message on his hand, he would have sang it to Desmond.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, oh, fine. So, but yeah, I mean that's really all I have as far as notes for this season.
Yeah, I don't really have any.
Or this episode, rather.
I'm good.
Okay. All right, cool. Let's get into some listener feedback then. And so we do have quite a bit of feedback this week, and that more than usual. We have 2 emails and 2 voicemails to go through. Let's hit the emails first.
Okay.
And I'll kick things off.
Okay.
This time, we have a voicemail from our friend Leda, who we wrote who wrote us that wonderful show feedback in the beginning too. And she says, "Hey, wait, didn't Mr. Echo leave the hatch with Charlie? He went back to get him, right?" And she's correct. Echo went back in to get John. Subliminal message: Desmond, wearing a tie-dye shirt, mentioned that Locke gave a speech, time travel foreshadowing, right? Absolutely, we just talked about that. Or am I like you, Ben, who thinks we read too much into the show, or maybe it's just a moot point? Nope, it's definitely foreshadowing.
It's like a cow's opinion.
It's moo.
Doesn't matter.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Anyway, Nikki and Paulo, I see you. It's a no Jack episode. Oh, well, I'm sure he is being the worst wherever he is.
I am glad that's a thing.
I do too. I love it. But thanks, Leda, for the email.
Mm-hmm.
I'll turn it over to you for our next one.
Yep. We have another email from Des Combs. Hey guys, I love this episode. I'm sure that the two of you have analyzed the heck out of John's Sweat Lodge fun time vision, so I'll just skip that. I am full of questions tonight. How is Echo not dead? The hatch blew up, and a polar bear drags his bloody, beat-up body to his cave. Where have Nikki and Paolo been all this time? And why are they so familiar with Hurley when we've never seen them together before this? This is kind of mean, but doesn't Kim, the marijuana queen pin, look just like John's dad? Where can I find the whole Geronimo Jackson album? I can only listen to the Dharma Lady over again so many times. Why is Dez running naked through the jungle? He doesn't look too physically damaged. He's already unhinged mentally in time. Maybe he blipped through time out of the hatch and they're just using Terminator rules when they have to go naked. Where they have to go naked. When am I ever going to get past the 7th question on HQ? I think that's it. Peace out. Des, you're doing a lot better than me right now. I can't get past question 4 on HQ these days.
Oh, I just love the fact that he threw that question in there because I'm right there with him.
HQ?
When am I going to get past the 7th question on HQ?
It's like the 7th circle of hell.
For those of you that are unaware, HQ is a mobile app that is a live trivia game that I play, you play, Des plays along with us. Our friends Jill, Nathan,
a whole bunch of our friends.
A whole bunch of us play this live trivia game every night, and it's at 9:00 Eastern time. You can just go into the mobile store and just type HQ. It's a lot of fun, but Des makes a good point: is that we very rarely get past like questions like 5, 6, and 7
of a 26 question quiz.
Well, it's not 26 anymore. Now I think it's back to 16.
Whatever. It's hard.
Yeah. Anyway, HQ, not a sponsor.
Yeah. But please, if you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Geronimo Jackson album, I think they only ever did one song. I think they did that intentionally for the show.
Bummer.
Because it is a made up band for the show.
Yeah, Des running naked through the jungle. I mean, I guess, the electromagnetic energy burns clothes and not flesh.
Well, Des made a good point in that, I think he said it jokingly about like maybe he blipped through time out of the hatch and it's kind of Terminator rules. We do know that time plays a part in that like electromagnetism of the island. There might be an element of truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe and that's why his brain is the way it is right now. Maybe he did kind of instantaneously for a split second blip in and out of time when the electromagnetism detonated. Because, you figure otherwise he was at the core of an implosion. How the hell else would he have survived it? So, it might have been a joke, Bundez, but I think there could have been some truth to that.
Yeah, maybe. Blip through maybe he blipped through all sorts of different times.
All at once.
Yeah. Like the Matrix.
Yeah. Which is coming back.
I know. I saw that. I'm so excited. It's weird how excited I am, but I'm real excited about that.
I'm more excited the fact that Keanu and Carrie-Anne Moss are attached.
Yeah. I'm excited for all of it. I just can't. Can't wait. I mean, I'd love to see how they're going to do this, but
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm very curious how they're going to do this.
But I don't care. Just bring it back, please. Bring back Kung Fu Neo 100 times over.
I know Kung Fu.
Show me.
See, your mind goes to show me. My mind goes to for the last time. No, you don't. Which was a Celebrity Jeopardy sketch on SNL.
Oh.
Where they introduced Keanu Reeves. I forget who's doing the impression of Keanu. Somebody was doing the impression of Keanu. And Will Ferrell, as Alex Trebek, introduces him, and his response is, I know Kung Fu. And Will Ferrell, as Alex Trebek's like, for the last time, no, you don't. Which is, it's hysterical. So your mind goes to the movie. My mind goes to the SNL sketch. Anyway. But yeah, we have two pieces of voicemail to play as well.
Yay.
One of them from our friend Steve Brown and the other one from our friend Gemma. So which one do you want to hear first, Steve or Gemma?
Don't care. Surprise me.
All right, let's play this one. Oh, wait, that's not it. That's the wrong one. That's not it. Sorry.
Never ending story.
That was a little inside joke. We had to throw that in the podcast somewhere.
Yes.
Let's go with Steve Brown. let's get back to serious stuff. And here is our voicemail from my buddy Steve Brown.
Hello, Ben and Kristen, it's Steve, and this is for further instructions and just a few quick notes, not a lot. There's a lot in this episode. I'm sure you guys are going to talk about a lot of it. I didn't realize until this episode that Kylie Sanchez and Rodrigo Santoro's names have been added to the cast list. I don't know if that's just an inside joke from the writers, because people had always talked about the background people and we never got to see them. Love the Altered States reference from Charlie about Locke devolving into a monkey. And I'm sure you're going to discuss John's vision probably in depth. You probably have already gone into it, so I can't wait to hear your guys' analysis of all the different scenes he saw, saying Saeed had that situation in hand and that Desmond was helping himself and all that. So I thought that was great. I can't wait to hear what you guys thought. Talk to you later.
Oh, a short and sweet one from Steve.
Yeah, well, he's a very busy voicemail guy. He's got a lot of feedback for a lot of podcasts, And
He does, but you know what? That's one of the things we love about him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's a wonderful supporter. I love him. Miss you, buddy.
Which is great. Yeah, but thanks, Steve, obviously, for the voicemail. And man, I don't know why everybody assumes we were going to cover John Locke's vision.
I feel like we didn't cover it enough now.
I do too, actually. Everybody was anticipating us analyzing the hell out of that vision, and I feel like maybe we didn't do that. We kind of have to go back. But yeah, one more voicemail.
Have to go back.
No pun intended. I didn't even realize what I said until after I said it.
Sure.
One more voicemail, and that is from our friend Gemma.
Hi, Ben and Kristen. This is Gemma calling from South Wales about feedback for Lost Season 3, Episode 3. I'm sorry I missed last week's episode. Life kind of catches up sometimes, even with the kids running around screaming and stuff. Things are busy. Anyway, I did manage to watch this week's episode, and it's one I've forgotten about. It's a weird one with Locke needs to speak to the island after he loses his voice. And he goes in some kind of smoke tent, and I don't know whether he hallucinates Boone or whether Boone is an actual representation of either Jacob or the smoke monster, but maybe Jacob. I kind of lean in that direction because he wants Locke to help Mr. Echo, who's been kidnapped by polar bears and taken in the cave. So there's that, and then it kind of goes back to Locke's time that he spent. I'm assuming this is after Helen and the events of just before he gets thrown out of a window by his dad, obviously, but in between the time where Helen has finished with him and then he gets thrown out of a window, there's that. He joins a commune kind of on a marijuana farm. And this boy that he kind of takes under his wing is kind of the same things that he did with Boone and Charlie in a way on the island. He's kind of had these relationships with young men that he kind of takes on a father figure role too. But then this Eddie guy ends up betraying him and he gets kicked out of the commune, which he feels is like a family for him. There's something he wants. I think this goes further on, comes back to the island, and when he wants to be part of the others and their leader, because he wants to feel like he's got this family, that he never had growing up, and his place is very much for Locke on the island, or being part of a community, which he feels like he should have been with all along. But yeah, that's it was one of those strange episodes. I think I remember going back and at the time watching it and thinking, oh, this is taken away from the action where I wanted things to be, you know. I want to be back with Sawyer and Kate and Jack, and kind of finding out what's happening. And this kind of takes you away from that in a weird way. I think at the time, and even watching it now, it's okay now because I can go straight on to episode 4, which is Every Man for Himself. It's like one of my favorite episodes, but at the time you're kind of miffed because it's taking you away from that action, and you see a little bit of Nikki and Paolo come running up the beach, and you're like, who the hell are these two? And then you know, the only interesting bit as well is Desmond's he kind of says about Locke's speech to everybody too early before it's even happened. And so that's, you know, the start of a chain of events of things there. Okay, so that's my feedback. Sorry for the ramble. But yeah, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Never apologize for a ramble.
Ramble away.
Ramble is always good stuff. You know what? She brings up two very interesting points, though, in her feedback. In that one, I never considered the fact that it could have been Jacob taking the form of Boone rather than the island itself, because that would make sense as well. And one of the things we never really analyzed or even thought about is she's right. Where in Locke's timeline does this whole marijuana farm take place?
Oh, yeah. I had the same thoughts, but I thought maybe it was after Helen.
I would think that would probably be the best fit because, you know, he's kind of a broken person after that. And these people are the ones that kind of take him in and heal him a little bit.
Well, because he said, he talked about his anger and how he wasn't angry anymore. And that was a big problem with Helen, was Locke's anger. And, you know, we do weird things after we break up with people that we love. You know, we dye our hair, we shave our heads, we, you know, either lose weight or gain weight. Some people go on a big trip. Some people, you know, go off the rails. Some people go back to school. You either better yourself or you worse yourself after a big breakup. And I can see that this would be maybe a natural path after a big breakup is to go on, especially since the whole reason that he was in Australia was because he was going on his walkabout, you know, like he was trying to better himself, even though he had this situation. He wanted to prove that he could be capable and self-sufficient. And maybe he wanted to prove after Helen that he could be gentle and he didn't have to be angry. And that was kind of his quest. So, you know, John has a lot of quests. I feel like he spends his entire existence looking for something, and I don't know that he ever finds it.
No, I don't think he does, because even when you know, and this is a little bit of a big spoiler, but you know, even when we get kind of a John Locke who is even more confident and knows where his goal is, it's after John Locke has been replaced per se.
So it's not really John.
It's not.
Right.
I mean, the John that we know now, I don't think ever finds what he's looking for, which is rather unfortunate when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, he really is a tragic hero in every sense of the word. He's a tragic character at the very least, if he's not a tragic hero. But
absolutely,
yeah.
But thank you, everybody, for the wonderful feedback. And we encourage the feedback to keep on coming every episode. If you have something you want to say about the next episode we're going to be covering, which is episode 4, Every Man for Himself, which we return back to Hydra Island and see more of what's going on with Sawyer and Kate.
Yeah, that's a Sawyer backstory.
Yes, it is.
Yay.
So if you want to leave us feedback, which we encourage you to do so, there are multiple ways that you can do so. First and foremost, we are on Facebook at facebook.com/Lost Revisited.
We are kind of on Instagram at Lost Revisited Pod.
I like how we've been using kind of for the last 2 weeks. We got to get that fixed.
Well, yeah.
You can email us at lostrevisitedpod@gmail.com.
And if you'd like to leave us a message, you can record yourself and send it to our email address, much like Gemma and Steve do?
Yes, absolutely. But anyway, you want to leave us feedback, even if you comment on a post as well on the feedback page. That's another way that you can leave us feedback, which we'll get to. But I think that's just about going to wrap it up for this episode. Anything going on that you want to talk about before we wrap things up? Or I know we've been given recommendations for different things now at the end. Anything you want to recommend?
Yeah, well, I just finished Handmaid's Tale, season 3. If you haven't seen it and you watch the show, I highly, I don't know what it is, but it was the same thing with Stranger Things. The finale of Handmaid's Tale and the finale of Stranger Things. These are two of the best episodes of television I think I've ever seen. And I don't know. And
Sorry.
I don't know if it's because Game of Thrones sucked so bad that my bar has been set very low these days, or that just exceptional television is being made right now. But the season finale of Handmaid's Tale, wow, if I was still podcasting on that episode, I would just love, that's an episode I'd love to break down. It was phenomenal episode. Just every high, every low, every intense moment. I didn't breathe at some points. It was incredible. So I highly recommend Handmaid's Tale. If you haven't seen the show, I highly recommend it. The first 2 seasons are some of the most oppressive and horrible situations that you can think of. But the 3rd season is a breath. And it's not any less intense at all, but there is breathing room in season 3, and it makes it so that I can look back on season 1 and 2 and be like, okay, there is a point to all of this. There is a direction, and that direction has not been resolved. Don't get me wrong, but it's phenomenal, just phenomenal. And the finale was, oh my gosh.
I've never watched the show, so maybe it's something I'll add to my list at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, make sure you have a lot of something else to watch in between.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from you and multiple other people too. Is you kind of need palate cleansers in between every episode or two.
Yeah.
But speaking of palate cleansers, I'm just going to. There is a show that you have been trying to get me to watch for the longest time. You've even mentioned it on this podcast.
Yeah.
And I finally started watching, and I'm officially hooked.
I told you.
And that is New Girl. I am already through season 1. I haven't started season 2 yet, but I plan to today.
Yeah, it's hilarious, right? Like you have to almost pause the show so that you can finish laughing because you don't want to miss a line.
The show, no lie, at least once in every episode has had me laughing out loud.
Yes. Yeah.
There are some episodes that it has been nonstop laughing the entire time.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna mention one episode in particular, and because it's back in season 1, so I don't know if you remember it or not, but there was an episode where Winston tried wearing an earring, and every time he came into the scene, it was a different kind of earring. One time it was even a feather. And just Nick asking him, like, where's the rum? Like, because of your pirate look. Like, I was hysterical laugh. Like, one time it's a hoop earring. Like, come on. Like, that is utterly ridiculous.
It gets better and better and better. And I'm going to play True American one day. I don't know when, but I'm going to play True American one day. That's happening.
That is, you got to find the rules to True American.
There is a website.
Oh, is there really?
Yes, sir.
All right. Next time we're together, we're going to have to play True American.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish it didn't take me as long to start it, because now I'm absolutely hooked on the show because it is hysterical.
Cool.
And I love it. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of I Have to Go Back. Next week, as we mentioned, episode 4, Every Man for Himself.
Sawyer.
Yeah.
Sawyer.
Thank you for that. That brought that back
Sawyer.
into my mind. But thank you as always for listening. Again, thank you for making last week the most popular and listened to episode across the entire Next Level podcast.
Yes,
network.
thank you.
Hopefully we keep those ratings up and we get even bigger and more successful as it starts. Sometimes it takes podcasts a little time to catch on, but hopefully we're at that point now. We already had a great listenership before, but it just boosted suddenly last week. We're so thankful for that.
We did get a really nice, we did get a specific new listener that I want to say hello to. That's our friend Rachel. Rachel, hello. We love you. Thank you for listening. She finally caught up and she is now watching along with us.
Yes. There's been a number of people who have messaged and saying, I'm finally caught up and now they're listening. So it's fun when that happens.
Yeah.
So, but thank you again for that. Thank you for commenting, for liking the Facebook page, everything that you guys do. But until next episode, we'll see you guys further on down that rabbit hole. Take care.
Bye-bye.
We have to go back, Kate. We have to go back!